various places. The wounded on both sides have been carried to the hospital of San Andrés. A battery is now planted against the palace in the Calle de Plateros, where they are at least near enough to do more execution than before. One circumstance worthy of notice has been published today. The rebels, as you may recollect, declared that they had permitted the president to leave the palace on condition of his taking conciliatory measures, and that he had agreed to favour their pretensions. Now here is Bustamante's own letter written in the palace when surrounded by his enemies, a proof, if any were wanting, of his exceeding personal bravery and perfect coolness in the midst of danger. There is something rather Roman in these few lines. Ministers, I protest that I find myself without liberty and without defense, the guards of the palace having abandoned me. Under these circumstances, let no order of mine which is contrary to the duties of the post I occupy be obeyed. Since, although I am resolved to die before failing in my obligations, it will not be difficult to falsify my signature. Let this be made known by you to the Congress, and to those generals and chiefs who preserve sentiments of honour and fidelity. National Palace, July 15th, 1840. Anastasio Bustamante. The following propositions are made to the government by the rebels. Article 1st. It not having been the intention of the citizen José Urrea and of the troops under his command to attack in any way the person of the President of the Republic, General Anastasio Bustamante, he is replaced in the exercise of his functions. Second. Using his faculties as President of the Republic, he will cause the firing to cease on the part of the troops opposed to the citizen Urrea, who on his side will do the same. Third. The President shall organize a ministry deserving of public confidence, and shall promise to re-establish the observance of the Constitution of 1824, convoking a Congress immediately for the express purpose of reform. Fourth. Upon these foundations peace and order shall be re-established, and no one shall be molested for the opinions which he has manifested, or for the principles he may have supported, all who are in prison for political opinions being set at liberty. Almonte, in the name of the president, rejected these conditions, but offered to spare the lives of the pronunciados in case they should surrender within 24 hours. The chiefs of the opposite party hereupon declared the door shut to all reconcilement, but requested a suspension of hostilities, which was granted. A is going to drive me out during the suspension in an open cab to call on the C a family. The Blanks have left their house, their position having become too dangerous. Another letter from General Almonte this morning. Nothing decisive. The streets continue blocked up with cannon, the roofs of the houses and churches are covered with troops, the shops remain closed, and the streets deserted. People are paying ounces for the least morsel of room in the suburbs on the San Cosme side of the city. 23rd. Yesterday the Archbishop invited the chiefs of the pronunciados to a conference in his archiepiscopal palace, in order that he might endeavour, in his apostolical character, to check the effusion of blood. The conference took place and the rebels requested a suspension of hostilities whilst the prelate should communicate its results to the president, which was granted by the general in chief. But the pronunciados broke the truce and endeavoured to surprise the president and Almonte in the citadel, passing over the parapets in the Calle de Monteria. They were repulsed with slaughter, and a fierce cannonading was kept up all night. They have now requested a parley, which is granted them. In the midst of all, there is a communication from the governor of Morelia, giving an account of the routing of a band of robbers who had attacked an hacienda. We went to Tacubaya and met with no other danger but that of being drenched wet, as a daily watering of the earth, short but severe, now takes place regularly. The new propositions of the pronunciados are these. First, the forces of both armies shall retire to occupy places out of the capital. Second, both the belligerent parties shall agree that the constitutional laws of 1836 shall remain without force. Third, a convention shall be convoked establishing the new constitution upon the basis fixed in the Constitutive Act, which will begin to be enforced directly. Fourth, The elections of the members of the Convention will be verified according to the laws by which the deputies of the Constituent Congress were directed. 5th. His Actual Excellency the President will form a provisional government, he being the chief until the foregoing articles begin to take effect. 6th. No one shall be molested for political opinions manifested since the year '21 until now. Consequently, the persons, employments, and properties of all who have taken part in this or in the past revolutions shall be respected. 7th. That the first article may take effect, the government will facilitate all that is necessary to both parties. The government have refused these second propositions, and at the same time made known to the Mexican world that various deserters from the opposite party assure them that the pronunciados, including the principal chiefs, are occupied in destroying everything within the palace; that the general archives and those of the ministers are torn in pieces, and that the dispatches are taken to make cartouches, and so on. They end by accusing them of being all united with the most noted robbers and public highwaymen, such as Ricardo T., a José Polvorilla, a Roman Chavez, a Juan Vega, a Rosas, a Garcilaso, and others. I put down the names of these Mexican Dick Turpins and Paul Cliffords in case we should meet them some beau jour. More forces have arrived from Puebla and Toluca. Santa Anna is expected to reach Puebla tonight, and again General Valencia holds out an invitation to repentance to the deceived men in the palace. 25th. A letter is published today from Santa Anna to General Victoria, assuring him that whatever personal considerations might have detained him in his country seat, he accepts with pleasure the command of the division going to Perote, and will in this, as in all things, obey the orders of the supreme government. Firing with short intervals continued all yesterday, during the night, and this morning. 2 mortars are placed in front of the old Acordada, in the direction of the palace, but as yet they have not been used. There are a crowd of people examining them. Things remain nearly in the same position as before, except that there are more deserters from the revolted party. A proclamation was issued from Urea, accusing the government of all the evils that afflict the city, and of all the bloodshed caused by this civil war. Amongst other things, they complain of the death of Doctor Plan, who was shot in the Calle de Seminario, and, according to them, by the government troops. General Valencia answers this time without figures, and with good reason, that the responsibility of these misfortunes must be with those who have provoked the war. In the bulletin of today, the government praised their own moderation in having taken off the duties from all provisions entering the capital, in order that the price might not become too high, an advantage in which the pronunciados themselves participate, mentioned their exertions to supply the city with water, and their permission given to the pronunciados to send their wounded to the hospital of San Andrés. They deny that the government has any share in the evils that afflict the whole population, their endeavour having ever been to preserve tranquillity and order. But when a handful of factious men have taken possession of part of the city, no choice is left them but to besiege and combat them until they surrender, and not to abandon the peaceful citizens to pillage and vengeance. They declare that they might already have subdued them, and are only held back by the fear of involving in their ruin the number of innocent persons who occupy their circumjacent houses. The policy of this moderation seems doubtful, but the sincerity of the president is unimpeachable. They continue to observe upon the absurdity of this handful of men pretending to impose laws upon the whole republic, when already the body of the nation have given unequivocal proofs that they have no desire that the questions relative to their political institutions should be decided by the force of arms. While the pronunciados declare on their side that information of pronunciamientos everywhere has been received by them, the government remarks that 11 days have now elapsed, which has given full time for all the departments to declare themselves in favour of those who call themselves their representatives, but on the contrary nothing has been received but assurances of fidelity and of support to the government cause. I believe that the English packet will be detained till the conclusion of this affair, but should it not be so, you need not feel any uneasiness in regard to us. Our house is full of people, money, jewels, and plate; our stables of horses and mules.